Hey YouTube, so we just got the Jeep back and we got back with our group. This is Trail 107. This will be the first blue on the left hand side of the west side. I guess technically now it's the second because Kyle had just cut the new one. But this is what used to be the first blue on the left. I think like on the older maps it used to say Crucher's Crack or something like that near this trail. This is not Crucher's Crack. Apparently that's some red trail that like is overgrown and impossible to do. At one point I kind of thought this trail was called the New Jersey Trench or New Jersey Turnpike. I'm not really sure, but that name is no longer there either. I think I saw that on some staff or something like that that was on the side of the trail. So anyway, I'm just gonna call it by its number for now unless somebody wants to give me a comment or something or tell me what it's called. So this is a fairly small blue. I want to say maybe it's comparable in size to Excelsior or BA. It's not quite as flat as those two trails. This is on the west side of the park, which means that typically, just like on the west and on the east side of the park, when you look at the map, the one half of the map is a mountainside, like where you have like Barney Rubble, where you have like all the steep trails like Fern Ridge. The other half of the map on either side of the park is very, very flat, and so we are on the hilly part. We just happen to be on the top of the mountain. So obviously there's going to be a little bit of hilliness going on. Just like any other typical blue at AOAA, it's very narrow, and there's a very high probability of 3-point turns. I think actually on this one near the end, I do a bunch of 3-point turns in a row, and obviously, you know, it's going to be a rock garden between some trees at different points. So we are like with a rather large group, and that's why the video probably feels like it's going a lot slower. It is a double speed. But even though it is a double speed, you'll find that when you're out with like larger groups, usually there's a larger delay. And then the other thing to point out is we're at the end of the group with just a tail gunner behind us, which means that there's more of this rubber band effect, so to speak. And let me talk about that a little bit. So if you're like a new Jeeper, you want to be near the front of the group if at all possible. You don't want to be near the end of the line. Okay, so what ends up happening is like we're all kind of going along this trail, and then there's a difficult obstacle somewhere, like say like this rock here. So everybody stops to do the rock because like it's like difficult, and then once they go over the rock, they speed up because it's easier, right? So there's a little like say 10-second delay because somebody had to go slow over the rock. Well, when you have like say 10 Jeeps in front of you, if you're the last Jeep, then that means that there was like a 100-second delay, like 10 seconds times 10, right? Which means that you're just sitting here waiting like we are for like a long time, and it's very slow. But for the first Jeep, they only had that 10-second delay because they only had to like go over it, and then they just like drove off, right? So what ends up happening is the farther back you are, like in the group, the longer you end up like you're delayed and you're just like waiting. Because like it kind of magnifies like all the kind of Jeeps in front of you, and then like what ends up happening is when you do make it over that obstacle, you discover that there's these like humongous gaps between you and all the vehicles in front of you, because you know the other vehicles, like the first one for instance, had 90 seconds more of driving fast than you did when you were just sitting there like not moving at all. So it kind of turns into this like rubber band thing where you're like kind of sitting around a lot more than if you're near the front, but at the same time like you have to rush more to catch up, right? Kind of like a rubber band, where if you're at the front of the group, typically you can just go like one kind of set speed, say like 4 miles per hour the whole time, and you're just like, why is the person in the back so far away? You know, and you're not even thinking about the whole fact that like everybody in the whole group had to stop to make this like 3-point turn, or everybody, you know, And like the reason why I didn't go up there and sneak behind the guy is because I knew that if he had to back up to get on a different line, I didn't want to be there, so I wanted to be out of his way. So I had to sit there and wait. And obviously, if I have to sit here and wait for him to go up the hill, then the Jeep in front of me had to stop and wait for them to go, and the person in front of them. So anyway, that was my little kind of lesson for the day, I guess, or for the video, kind of explaining the whole difference between being at the front of the group and the back of the group. And that was the end of the blue ride. So please like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next trail, which will be another blue one on the west side. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.